Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming out tonight. I am so excited about this Friendraiser because I have the pleasure and the honor of introducing you all to some young people. They always gonna be babies in my eyes, but some young people who've been with me and involved in my life and involved with Success Center pretty much since our inception. And I just wanted to share with the community that Success Centers has been true to working with young African American people. We see this mantra of Black Lives Matter. And, I got questioned by some of the staff. We need to put Black Lives Matter on our website. And I said, why? Why? This is nothing new for us. From day one, when we were established by the Superior Court judges in 1983, we've been true to supporting Black lives. We've been true to supporting marginalized communities. We've been true to supporting individuals who have been disenfranchised by all these social systems, the criminal justice system, the educational systems, the healthcare system. Why? And these young people are proof that the work of the good people at Success Centers makes a difference. And so I'm just here to have a little Liz talk with you all tonight and to allow them to share a little bit of their experiences of strength and hope. So tonight, we're going to do a little show and tell. I wanted to just share with you what this evening is about. We're going to hear part one of the Liz talk from our honored and esteemed guests. And then we're going to walk through a little video interlude to share with you some of the programs and services, some of the new programs and services we're offering. Then we're going to go back and ask our guests what equity means to them, because everybody has a different version of it, but their work exudes what equity means to us as Success Centers. And then as Mark talked about, we have a little final word from our board and some feedback from all of you. And then we'll get the party started. So again, thank you all for coming out tonight.
All right, let us jump right in with the show and tell. Who says show and tell is for kids, right? So we're going to play that time-honored game of show and tell. I'm going to throw up something on the screen. And Miss Liz, if you would tell us what we are looking at, let us start right here. Miss Liz, what are we looking at?
Oh my goodness. So these are young people who have recently graduated the hands-on and theoretical component of our green construction and youth build training programs. And they are actually leading the charge with Habitat for Humanity over on Geneva and Sharon, right on the San Francisco Daly City border. And they're building 6 units of affordable housing. They just, Tracy Green, our program director, just let me know that they are being recognized by the chief of police, who also goes out there from Daly City, and their mayor for the work and the leadership that they exude. So we're so proud of it. There's about, I think, 8 or 9 young people out there. So proud of them.
Next up on the show and tell, this is actually something you get to read before you comment on it, if you would.
Okay. Oh, yes. This came from a family member who wrote this letter. So I just want to thank you for embracing my nephew with open arms. I've never seen him so motivated in his whole life. He's been getting in trouble for a long time now and clearly wants to change his life for himself and his family. Dealing with the challenges these young brothers face, no positive role models, you got right on it and made sure that he was connected. Let him know that you got this, that you got his back and are taking care of him. This program understands our community, Big C community, because you are the community, and we need more programs designed just like Success Centers. Thank you for your support. So again, this came from a family member who Again, unfortunately, their loved one had been through many, many programs that nobody understood, but we're really proud that over half of us are from the community and have been through similar circumstances as the individuals that come into our doors and to our programs. And we understand and understand what it takes to move them on to the next level of their lives.
We are going to go on to our next one. This is our, if Mark can make it work.
Okay.
All right. It's not cooperating, but it's cannabis coverage, which is, and the
Oh
title
boy.
of this particular thing is What Equity in Cannabis Should Look Like with Success Centers. Talk about that, if you will.
Oh my goodness. So, Success Centers, we pride ourselves for being innovators and trailblazers out there in the community. And when our young people came to us with this notion of being involved in the cannabis industry, a lot of people laughed at it and thought that these folks just wanted to get high. That may be true too, but more importantly, this was about bringing equity to a new industry. Why should RJ Reynolds be making all the money in an industry that Black and brown communities have been persecuted for? And so the Equity for Industry program is trailblazing in this very new industry and helping people to not only find jobs, but to support them developing businesses and really creating wealth in a brand new industry to help them sustain themselves and to live within the San Francisco community. And, we had, there's one individual that we hope, Authentic 415 went to the Planning Commission today, and I'm hoping that they got their permit. Yeah, so that particular article, we've been published when we made it to Forbes magazine and High Times, and it's been about a year since Miss Angela and I were recognized as some of the top 20 women to watch in 2020. Watch out, y'all. We are trailblazing out there.
And the last one we have is a video. It's a 1-minute video. Let's take a look.
Okay.
Miss Liz, what is this about?
Yes, so we, I don't know if y'all know, but we did about 4 mergers 2 years ago. And one was with an organization called Each One Reach One, and the other was the Imagine Bus Project. And they brought arts to Success Centers. And we have committed to create an art stream throughout everything that we do. So I was very concerned about our young people, all young people having to distance learn and not be engaged in school. And so we've created these pathways to introduce young people into construction, basic computer literacy, job readiness and life skills training, and the arts. And so that video was created by a very talented and young staff who are music makers, filmmakers, are into visual arts, spoken word, hip hop, poetry. So our young people now will be getting academic credit for the arts programming that they'll be engaged with in these pathways. So that was a promotional video that they did over a weekend. They're so talented. With an iPhone. Oh my God, incredible.
And that brings us to our first part of the Liz Talk. As you can see, we are welcoming our first guest, Utopia Hammond. So I'm
Hello.
going to leave it to you two to talk to the rest of us.
Hello there,
Tops,
everyone.
how
Hi,
are you?
I'm good. Hi, Liz. How are you?
Oh, wonderful. So glad you could join us tonight. Now, this young woman is a powerhouse. I met her when she can tell you how many years ago, but she was 13 years old and one of the baddest hustlers out there on the street that Fillmore ever saw. And she came to us at 17 years old with green hair, telling me that she wanted to be a mortician. Tell us how you got there and what was going on for you at that time.
Well, I was 17 years old, and I ended up at the Focus program, which that was what your program was called at the time. And I was arrested on the same corner 4 times and ended up in juvenile. And my probation was, I was faced with going to a group home, unfortunately, but my auntie came and got me, and I ended up promising her that I would go back to school. I ended up at the Focus program, and that's how I ended up there with you guys. And yeah, I was 17 years old, and yeah.
So when you came to me, you said you wanted to be a mortician. What preempted that?
Okay, so
And what was my reaction?
well, I remember being at the program, and you had asked us what we wanted to be when we got older. And unfortunately, no one has ever asked me that before in my 17 years of life. And so I remember walking in the door that day with an attitude, and I remember leaving that day really inspired, really forced to use my critical thinking skills to figure out, what do I want to be? Where am I going to go? Because you challenged us with this question that no one else had. And it made me look at you in a different light. And I had so much respect for you. And I came back the next day at the program saying I wanted to be a mortician. Yeah.
So I told you that, but this woman is a beautiful braider and, just so stylish, as you can see. From back in the day, she was very interested in hair care. And I think you had told me that. And I went home saying, Mom, this young lady came with green hair and she wanted to be a mortician. And how am I going to find her a job as a mortician? And she said, why not? And you really turned my perspective around how we develop opportunities for young people. She said, that's why I came to San Francisco, because there's the best mortician school is right there on Divisadero and O'Farrell.
Yes, and that was the school that I wanted to go to. I came back with information. You made us all find out what school we wanted to go to, how much the tuition was. You actually had us do an essay or a book report, I remember. And so I had got all that information. But unfortunately, I wanted to be a mortician because at the age of 17, I probably have been to maybe 50 to 70 funerals, I think, back then. And I didn't like the way they had African Americans looking, my people, in the coffins. And I wanted to make them look as if they looked when they were alive. So I had PTSD. I suffer from PTSD, and I wanted to make a difference in that way. Not realizing that I was an outstanding hair braider. You brought that to my attention. I was in the environment I was in such denial, and I had so much going on that I didn't look at myself as an outstanding hair braider. You brought that to my attention. You said, I heard you braid hair. I hear you're really good. Why don't you want to go to cosmetology school? You can do hair for the dead, you told me. And you know what? I was on call for Dugan's Mortuary for 10 years after I graduated from cosmetology too, because of that.
Yeah, I told you, dead or alive, you need to get your GED or high school diploma, and you need a license to do hair.
Yeah.
And you have been so entrepreneurial. And so that's what I really love and appreciate about you. And, thank you for joining us tonight. So you all see that Young Utopia. We used to be located on the campus of the Juvenile Probation Department. And thank you for sharing that picture, because that's there on the campus. Yes. And this is one of our earlier kind of assessment forms. I can't believe you still have that.
Yeah.
Yes,
it's great because I just found it.
Colors.
Yeah. My hair is green too. I just have black braids, but I was looking at that and I remember I cut the top of my hair off and I didn't like it. So I started wearing these black braids, burnt at the ends, but my hair was green and I got the green shoes on.
Yes, it was the color of her shoes.
Yes.
Thank you, Topes. I appreciate you.
Yes.
So our next guest is a young man that his sister was actually a client of mine, and she hadn't been to work for a few days. And so I went knocking on her door in the Sunnydale projects looking for her. And she nor her mom was home, but Larry was there. Larry Jones was at that time was 12 years old and quite the man of the house. I was so impressed by this young man and his leadership ability and skills. And he would have the house spick and span. He had his younger sids doing their homework. He was they're not home right now. Can I take a message? And, I was just so impressed with them. And then later, we came to be good friends when we met at Log Cabin Ranch. So you want to tell us how you got connected to us? Do you mind, Larry or 10, or what do you prefer?
I am me. Larry is fine. 10 is a part of Larry. So, we all got offset images. But I'm just like blessed to have been aligned with you. You popped up at my house that day. I didn't know how to roll with that. But like growing up fatherless and, with no aim or no goals or not even being showed how to be a man, it was just tough being raised by a single mom like my mom. Thank God she was strong and she instilled a lot of morals and values in me that I still carry to this day. I'm highly respectful and my morals is up. So when we met at Cabin and my life was in a spiral, I just was, at that time, it was about how tough were you? How bad were you as a Black man? There was no real educators and no role models out there that was coming into the inner city to tell us anything positive. All we thought we could do was sell drugs, be popular, and fight. And that's pretty much what was going on in the late 80s until I met you and you told me how smart I was. I wasn't trying to hear you, but you told me how much of a leader I was. I thought because people listen to me to do other things, that was just part of the heritage. But you told me, no, you have leadership skills and you instilled a lot of stuff in me that I use to this day, and I thank you for it.
So Larry, where Utopia has been quite the businesswoman and still entrepreneur, Larry and I have been partners in crime. So in 2000, was it, Larry? We won, he helped me to write a federal grant where we won $28 million to provide youth development services in Sunnydale, Bayview, the Mission, and by the
Western Addition.
And the Western Addition. And the first, definitely, and against everything contrary to popular belief, I had to have people who were indigenous to the community. So one of the first people I called was Larry. And you want to tell them about that and some of the capers we pulled?
Yeah. Well, you were sitting down and we was going through the grant and you kept telling me we're going to get this money. And when we get this money, Larry, we're going to do big things out here. And Bill Clinton was the president. And I was just going, yeah, right, Mama Liz. Like, because you was always pumping me up like a helium balloon. But we was just talking about getting that money. And we were running through the grant. And to this day, when I write grants and proposals, I think back to that time. That was my first time ever being sat down doing something constructive that could be impactful to families in the community. And we got the grant, and lo and behold, it was a good run, man. And you brought a lot of love to the city. You put together a lot of people that wouldn't have gotten jobs that you trained. And remember when they sent us out to Virginia for a week? We were traveling, meeting all the other entities across the United States. So it was real fruitful. It was a good time.
And we're still using that model today as you're doing your community organizing, still out there working as the senior community liaison for Mercy Housing. They're really, you're helping them to transform their community again. Look, this man, how old were you here with Willie Brown and Art Agnos? You've been doing big things for a long time.
I was 14 years old right there, and I was in the gang prevention program, and Mayor Brown was the Speaker of the House and Art Agnos, and they came to the neighborhood, and I was the youngest guy of a lot of grown men that Thomas Mayfield, because he said, hey, I heard you running things, so you bring your little young butt too, because your opinion counts on making change.
Yes.
And I felt weird because at the time I was so active, I didn't think I belonged there. They bought me that suit, they dressed me up in that turtleneck, and they told me to sit down. And when Willie Brown heard me speak, he said, I don't care how old he is, he needs to speak. And that's the first time I felt empowered to speak. And to this day, I am an excellent speaker. And that was part of the motivation I got. I ended up working for his campaign in '93. We battled Amiano for the mayorships and gave me a highly ranked title during that time. So it started my political career way back here.
Yes. So you all see, I had to have this man on my team for sure.
Mama Leslie,
Those were some good days.
let me say one more thing real fast before we wind off. There's a lot more Larry Joneses out there. Like, for people like myself who grew up, who didn't have nothing and didn't know where I was going, to run into people like Mama Liz and the program that she's created, it empowered me to believe in myself, which made me the leader I am. And I'm spreading that same message to people out there now. So when you take a part of funding this program, you're not only uplifting families, but you're giving people that never had a chance. And that's all some people need, because everybody talk bad about me. I would die early. I wouldn't be shit. I wouldn't be no good. Excuse my language. But when Mama Liz gave me that base to believe, look what it manifested into. I'm 20 years in my craft. I'm about to be a manager. I'm thinking about running for supervisor, going to law school and things like that. So the sky's is the limit. People just need a chance. So please provide that chance for the next man. It's next man up. And I love you, Mama Liz, and thank you all for attending.
Yeah, thank you. Oh my God, y'all gonna make me cry. Well, this young lady, oh my goodness.
Damn.
I think I met her too at 15. And we had just started the first boutique court, and it was a school called Youth Treatment and Education Court, and it had combined a lot of behavioral and mental health services along with the educational program, and it was called YTEC, or Youth Treatment Education Court. And I met this young lady, and she was like one of the first class or so of YTEC, and transformed it and turned it around. You want to tell us what was going on with you?
Yeah, Liz, you met me 12, I think I was 12 or 13 actually when I first entered the system. And this photo was actually when I graduated from Walden House. This was the PSK, Project Sister Ken. Mm-hmm. So that was my graduation. You can see Ann Brown, who was the facility manager in the background, and I was with my dad. But yeah, you've known me for even longer, 12, 13 years old. I was, a truant. I was, out there, just getting in trouble, getting, drunk in public, everything, just being a nuisance, young nuisance, and out there, and got a number of arrests and just a number of stays in juvie. And I believe my rap sheet was like 50, it was really high number of lockups, because I was with YTEC, if you could not meet some of the requirements, you would get those weekend stays. So I racked up a lot of those. And Mama Liz would always talk to me and support. And, finally, just after the revolving door, went into program and did a 2-year program with the youth, the young girls Walden House program, and got out, graduated, got all my charges dropped, and started fresh. But while I was in program, I really started to realize my passion for social work, and just also just organizing and politics like Larry. And from there, I've been in the work for about 20 years. We've worked together, Liz, to, stop the violence in the Fillmore, where I'm from. That's where I grew up. And, it's just been a journey. I'm now president of the Board of Trustees at City College. I'm also elected official, elected citywide to City College, but also elected to the San Francisco Democratic Party, and serving on a number of boards and working during the day with a great initiative at UCSF to help Black babies and moms have better birth outcomes. So just found my passion for the work and just still in it. And it's been 20 years. I started really young in the system, and, just folks like Liz igniting that advocacy in me, my voice, getting my voice and getting out there, and just talking about my story and the struggles. So that's all.
So you'll be so proud, because, Chanel, I had the pleasure of working with Chanel too, with the YMCA. And we started providing services right, we want to get down where the madness was going on. So we did some really transformative things right inside public housing. You know, people were scared to leave the 2 or 4 block radius from where they live. And so we were like, we don't expect them to come to services. We're going to bring the services to them. So today, Chanel, we're still in Plaza East.
Yeah.
We're in Hayes Valley.
Yeah.
We're going to Hunter's View. And we're setting up shop there. And again, those ideas came from some of the stuff Larry and I worked on. And so these things, it was good practice. You guys helped to develop good practice and have organized the community in such a way that we're still at Success Centers kind of living out these things that you initiated. But I am so extremely proud of you, Miss Elected Official, out there doing your thing. So everybody, look, I know I'm not supposed to do that, but get out to vote.
Thank you, Liz. And I
Yes,
also want to give a shout out for the early program with YTech. You know, we actually traveled nationwide,
Yes.
doing our spoken word and educating judges and probation officers and all the, you know, workers around culturally competent care for youth and the systems of care. So thank you, Liz, for everything you're doing, you're still doing, and it's amazing. You're amazing. You're just a trailblazer.
Y'all keep me going. You keep me going. And look, I got a new little future. You guys are helping to pay. So yes.
Cutie pie.
Yeah, little India. So, but this is, you know, again, this is not, Black lives have always mattered to us. And so I'm glad that our board and our volunteers are like, no, we're going to use the mantras that we already espouse: empowering Black lives, educating Black lives, expressing with Black lives, employing Black lives. Those are the hashtags that we're going to use because we've been about this since our inception. So thank you all for joining us. Mark got another little segment for us, and then we're going to get back.
Perfect segue to our video interlude, which is a 3-minute or so video. We often have trouble at Success Centers defining what we do. People say, what do you do? And we can't stop describing it because it amounts to everything when it comes to a person's journey to get from where they are to where they want to go. So I thought it might be useful if we heard our vision statement. The vision statement is the guiding document for the organization. And in this case, it is read by our staff members. So take a look at the vision statement of Success Centers.
At our core, we believe in the power of change from within. Marginalized populations have been locked out of society for generations due to a lack of equity. Our focus is on the populations that have been most impacted by unjust policies, like the war on drugs, implicit and explicit bias, redlining, and other social inequities that underlie high incarceration rates and unequal access to wealth, power, and resources among Black and Brown community members.
Within communities of color, these inequities have created a well-founded mistrust of systems and institutions. Success Centers' theory of change recognizes that meaningful change must include the very communities that have been most affected by systemic inequities without placing the onus of responsibility solely on these communities.
Our non-traditional approach challenges and demands change from within the system. Change we also work to create. Through our data-driven approach, marginalized communities become advocates for equity and economic justice, and systems are held accountable to meet the needs of the community.
Our mission is to empower through education, employment, and the arts. We focus on career pathways to lucrative job opportunities in high-demand industries. Success Centers is adept at removing barriers that prevent our clients from accessing the myriad of opportunities in the Bay Area.
We create an alternative pathway to success and access to economic justice. We foster resiliency, creativity, belief in self, and self-advocacy skills to increase equity and build safe, thriving communities.
We're going to ask our three distinguished alumni to come back now and have a brief talk about what equity means. So Ms. Liz, if you will take it away.
Yes, indeed. You know, one of the things that I've loved about all three of our guests is that they have a natural born leaders who, you know, despite and unapologetically were just continue to promote their authentic self. They didn't try to fit in a box and be what people thought they should be. They did them. And so, you know, Utopia, you have always been an entrepreneur since the early days of 12 or 13 years old, continue to be a striving businesswoman. What does, and we had earlier conversation too, you know, but what does equity mean to you? What does that mean for you?
Well, I had a different answer before, but now I feel that it means believing in yourself. Believing in yourself. Of course, it takes hard work to get you to where you need to go. But for me, I've been passionate about everything that I've ever done, every dime that I've ever made. I've worked really hard for it, and I've been reinventing myself in every position that I've ever been in. My father told me, are you going to go to school to go work for somebody else? Or are you going to go to school, or you're going to start your own business and work for yourself? So he kind of instilled that in me at an early age. He always wanted me to have my own business and work for my own self. And so I've done that throughout the years. I actually went back to school in 2016 to get my AA in social and behavior, but I still always worked for myself throughout, since I was 14, actually.
Yes, indeed. So it's about being you and being true to who you are and doing your thing. And again, you have created some, you know, I remember the camp that you started and you created to teach us about how to be around natural hair care and how to take care of ourselves. And I know at one time I had, there was a couple of probation officers that worked with me who had adopted, who were of European descent, who had adopted African-American children, and I sent them to your camp.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, yes, and you know, I started an after-school program. So because of you, I wanted to own a nonprofit so bad, teaching hygiene upkeep, self-esteem building, and I incorporated doing natural hair because that's what helped me get off the streets, right? With being an entrepreneur. So Juvenile actually gave me a chance. You know, they told me I had to write a curriculum. I remember I had to go do all this research, and they ended up having an after school program. I came 2 days out the week. I was able to come in to where the girls were locked up, and I brought all my books about the history of braiding. It came from Africa. Then I talked about self-esteem building. And then because they all just wanted to learn how to braid hair, right? They just wanted me to get right to it. How do we do extensions? How do we do this? But I had to say, hey, we have to learn something else first, right? So I got started there. And then I finally started my own nonprofit. I was teaching at the African American Culture Center. And then I started teaching at the camp. And actually, I go once a year. It was closed for COVID. It's called PAC, and it's an adoption center out of Berkeley. But I still teach. I run the hair clinic there once a year. And I got a friend of mine hired to start cutting the boys' hair, this barber named Keenan. And so we've been doing that a couple years now. I got Keenan on board. So it's a place where African-American kids who are adopted by Caucasians or Latinos can come and see other kids of color like themselves and be themselves and, immerse themselves in their own culture and stuff like that. So, yeah, proud to say I'm still involved.
Love that program. And some of those young people that I referred earlier on to your program are in college now.
Yes.
Can you believe it?
Yes,
Look, I'm only 29, you guys, and holding. You guys have passed me. Larry, man, we have done some incredible things as well, too. And the project that you're working on in transforming that public housing out there is incredible. And you've been a trailblazer out there on the ground, literally in the community. What does equity mean for you? What does all your work mean?
Well, equity to me, in my terms, is community driven. You dropped me in the community a long time ago, and I haven't left. I've been engulfed ever since. And equity to me is like equal, and equity means change. And to me, power is the ability to make change. So I grew up in an impoverished, underserved, disrespected Black community called St. L Public Housing Projects. So I've made my commitment to making sure that everything feasible to those residents, whether it's HUD, whether it's FEMA, whatever we have coming to the community, actually makes it to the residents. A lot of funding and a lot of things are available. We get bypassed and neglected until it's political time. A lot of promises are made and not kept. A lot of things are said but not done. So I'm taking the keys to the community to make sure that whether it's diaper distribution, grocery giveaway, job programs, job training, JRTs, whatever, it gets down to the people it's supposed to be to, not scavengers who come through just to get an opportunity that already have good lives, but the people that these grants that are written on the blood of the friends that I've lost, which has been in the number of over 100 friends I've had die to violence and being products of this environment. I make sure that we have the opportunity to be on the level playing field, and that's all we can ask for. So that's what equity means to me, the chance to play on a level playing field and let our natural abilities show instead of the stigmas that we're given by media.
And you are a true asset to Mercy Housing, who's a big developer in the city around affordable housing. And, they could not do that work without you out there on the ground. Because you guys, you'll get out there. If there's any sign of inequities, I've seen you hold up buses, nothing moves.
Well, you're right, Mama. We stopped the bus. We stopped the bus for maybe 4 days when they brought the light rail project down Bay Shore Boulevard in Business Station Valley, but did not come to the neighborhood and employ not one person. And this was $1 billion city-funded project. So we figured out, okay, we found out about peaceful protests. We try to do different things to handle things. So we shut down the 9 bus route, which went through Portola, Biz Valley, City College. It was a connector to the financial district in Chinatown, all the way to Fisherman's Wharf. We didn't know we disrupted so much economically to the point where the mayor himself came to the projects. We did not let the buses roll for 3 days until they came and talked to us. We ended up getting 15 people hired by Muni, MTA. We hired 15 people to work on that light rail, and they still have careers doing track cleaning and other things like that. But that was our first real political movement where we defied the odds and went against the grain. But in terms of equity, it was a home run.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So thank you for that and your continued work, because it's been Well over. I see Brother Dudes out there too.
That's
Another
right.
one of our partners in crime.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. We've been
He
doing this
taught
a
me a
while.
lot through you. Farad Duke is
Yes.
definitely one of my champions.
Miss Chanel, you know, I know you've been out there working. You worked with the late great Jeff Adachi, who is another trailblazer, kicking indoors and helped to ensure that there's some of these changes again that we're talking about in public housing in our communities. We worked around the gang injunction program and all kinds of stuff. What does equity mean to you as now you're an elected official and over at community college? What changes are you seeing that you need to make there to ensure that there's educational equity?
Miss Chanel had to jump off. And
Oh, wow.
we were happy to have her. She's running for office.
Yes, she is.
Season. So we're grateful that she showed up for us. So I thought we would move on to that part of the program we call the Feel Back. We're wrapping it up now. Feel Back includes every Success Center's events. We get in a big circle and we ask people to shout out in one word their reaction to the events, to the work, to how they're feeling. Instead of a feedback, it's a feel back. So the chat is open and we invite you to write one word, your reaction to tonight, to the work, to the things you've seen, to the stories you have heard. No wrong answers in the feel back. So we'll do this for about a minute. And I'm reading moved, courageous, proud, inspired. And I will say, we hear these words often whenever we do a feel back. Humility, amazing, uplifted, energized, powerful, motivated, powerful, global, here, significant, transcend, impactful, determined, grateful, highly impressed. That's from Liz. Thank you so much, everyone. Fearless. And we hear these words at Success Centers all the time. I'm going to follow up with everyone by email. Thank you for joining us tonight. The email will include a recording of this event, which you are welcome to share. And I will also invite you, if you are so inclined, to make a donation for the work, to invest in the work. We get most of our funds from government contracts and foundation grants. However, individual gifts fill the gap. These contracts, these grants are usually highly restrictive. You can spend money on this, but not on that. But our people have needs of all kinds, and the staff, the people who are on the front lines are the ones who know what those needs are. I don't even know sometimes how we get it paid, but we do. So every cent you donate goes directly to those kinds of services, whether it be $1 or 100,000. And I'm not kidding about that. We honor everybody, no matter the amount, in our donor society, which we call the Last House. Ms. Liz, why is it called the Last House?
As you've heard from our guest today, and again, Utopia, Larry, Chanel, thank you for coming out. You guys are so busy saving the world. You could have been doing a whole lot of other things, but you spent your evening with us. And, you know, as you kind of heard in some of their presentations, for many of our young people, nobody encouraged them. Nobody told them, saw their potential or their greatness. Who would have ever thought we would have entrepreneurs, community organizers, elected officials that came out of the group of young people who had, you know, didn't finish school in the traditional way, have been involved in living in public housing, you know, coming up in marginalized communities. But these young people here have surpassed all odds. And so we see ourselves as the Last House. And I'm so grateful that they allowed us an opportunity to be in their lives.
Well, I have to
hopefully make some impact in their lives. And I'm so blessed to have had them in my lives all these years. And they have made a difference for my own personal children, in my life, in my career. And I'm so glad to have you in my life. So the Last House is, you know, way of continuing to build a network of friends and a network of people who understand what it means, what true equity really means, to begin to level the playing field and tear down these walls of oppression that we all have encountered and faced. That, you know, we shouldn't have to stop the bus lines to ensure that our people have jobs. We shouldn't have to go in and teach young women how to be women. We shouldn't have to, but I'm so glad that they did and shared their experiences of strength and hope and made a difference in other people's lives. So each one reach one, each one teach one. And again, thank you for all you do. And we encourage all of you. It doesn't take a lot. You know, just encouraging a young person and having just a word with them and recognizing their potential is sometimes all. That's all I did. That's all I did. I haven't done anything. It's just seeing these good people and seeing what they bring to the table and just letting them know how great they are.
I don't think
they did the rest. They already had it in them.
I don't think I could have gotten where I was, where I made it to, Liz, without you and you believing in me early and making me believe in myself. So these youth and these centers that you have helped to create are so lucky to have you and your staff and all you hardworking people out there working for them. I'm just really excited to be here, and I'm very, truly honored. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you.
And I'm going to say that the wing is still up, so keep my seat open because I never know when I might have to come back home.
That's
So
right. You're always welcome.
We will come back when needed for a touch-up or a tune-up, so the family don't stop. It keeps going.
Yes, and you guys have always been there. Thank you so much.
We have one more piece of music for you. It is a canción de cuna, which is a cradle song. It is by composer Xavier Monsalvaje with a poem by Afro-Cuban poet Ildefonso Pereira Valdez. Beautiful and simple, but there are subtle words of resistance in the text. The reason being that the father is singing to his son at a time when his home, Cuba, is under occupation by the US following the Spanish-American War. And the father knows the kind of world his son is being born into. And so through this lullaby, he's preparing his son for that world. He knows that for there to be a revolution in the world, there must first be a revolution of the heart. And he is planting the seeds of that revolution even while the child is in the cradle. The singer is yours truly, and the pianist is Kristen Pankinen. But before we get to that musical conclusion, we have the last word from our CEO, Miss Liz. What say you?
Again, I just want to thank you all. Please stay in contact with us. This is the one of a series of Friendraisers. Look out for these young people. They're going to continue to kick in doors and do great things. So again, thank you everyone for coming out. I'm not sure if Elliot was on board, our board chair, but I thank you all, board members, staff who came out tonight for and blessing this event. So thank you. Be safe out there. On with the lullaby.